blessings. Much love, many blessings. So, I definitely, as far as like honoring the new moon Pisces and it's Pisces season, the word that really comes to mind is vastness. I think that of all the new moons, this really is one of those that can kind of feel like it can feel like a full moon as far as the weight sometimes that we may be experiencing leading up to it. And I think a lot of that has to do with like the weight that is kind of brought on by like what we get when we step into Pisces. And I think really in order to talk about what we're experiencing with this Pisces season, and really this new moon Pisces is really to kind of just delve into like what we're experiencing with Pisces, what we get with Pisces. So like we're dealing with like the 12th house vibe. So like a lot of times with the collective, like when we're dealing with the 12th house, we're dealing with a lot of deep feelings. We're dealing with Neptune. So it's like that means that we're dealing with a planet of a lot of emotions, a lot of like, in a lot of instances, I want to say like suppressed desires and fears, because it's how we present ourselves to the world with our emotional lens. So this is the opposite side of the physical realm. This is spirituality. This is illusions. This is dream state. So this is the astral realm. This is where all the metaphysical energy is kind of like moving. You know what I'm saying? So there's really a lot of energy that is kind of cooked up here during this time. So we're coming off of the Aquarius season. We're coming off of some of the retrogrades. We're coming off of Pluto being direct. So there's this sensation that's kind of welling within us to kind of like want to really do something with the energy, especially in the spaces of making our dreams kind of like come into reality, you know. So I mean, it's some really good energy with the 12th house vibes, and we deal with Neptune, because it's really where our imagination has the fuel to kind of like really take flight. So like we might be feeling like noticing during this time that our dreams are becoming more vivid, or we're just feeling more inspired or creative in general to pursue projects, to fix things that we may or may not should be fixing or trying to fix. But ultimately, like when we get that Pisces energy, especially when it's sun, it makes us want to really just kind of delve and just kind of keep the momentum of whatever is already generating an energy going. But a lot of times, because of that, symbolically, that first and that last, Pisces being that first and last, we may be finding ourselves coming back to old situations, almost in some instances, whether like a literal or like kind of that deja vu sensation where we feel like we're in a situation again, but why does it feel like I have more tools or just a different understanding or a broader awareness? Some of that can be attributed to that Pisces energy, because they're the least suspected in the zodiac, but they're also one of the last signs, and all the later signs in the zodiac usually have more wisdom. And Pisces being at the end is usually the one that does it last. So they get to make the final input in the situation. So what we will notice a lot of times during this Pisces season is you may be seeing things where it's kind of like suppressed emotions, or things that you didn't realize were kind of just had been laying dormant, start coming back to the surface. Generally, these things start to happen when because it relates to vices, and I was talking about this in one of my posts with the 12th house. It's the rival to the 6th house, which is dealing with Virgo and routines and pets. So keeping things in order and making sure things are structured. So the 12th house deals with that opposite rival number energy of kind of being that wild animal and breaking out and kind of doing the things that you want to do. So sometimes as it relates to kind of the escapism nature or that dark side of the Pisces energy, to kind of want to delve into or just kind of go into that dream state, whether it's a mental state or to be in that daydreaming state, or sometimes to delve into vices, whether it's into voyeurism, escapism, and things of that nature. A lot of times, especially when we're not able to change our circumstances, Neptune energy is a very vast planet. So emotionally, Neptune's energy kind of washes over situations and kind of can overtake a matter. And what this means is that illusion energy is about satisfying the senses, because illusions is magic that we're aware of, or that we're allowing to, the best way to put it is we're allowing the spell to happen because it's beneficial to us, and it's putting us in a comfortable state because it's satisfying our senses. So we have to make sure that we're not allowing the fantasies or the daydream state that's comfortable for us to just be what it is, because we don't feel that we can bring it into our reality. So as it relates to this new moon in Pisces, there's a very strong time in spirit. It's been really suggesting a lot of things that have been kind of focused on kind of running into a dead end or just a wall as far as family matters, financial matters, just running into a lot of turbulence, especially with a lot of the shakeups that had happened with Uranus and Taurus, and over the Capricorn season. and just some of the shifts, the abrupt shifts that happened with really just all throughout the Aquarius season. So there's some restabilizing of family structures, and just jumping off on really how you want to be governed, or how you govern yourself. I think this has a lot to do with the Pluto going direct in Capricorn. So a lot has been changed with how you allow yourself to be governed, and indoctrinations have been breaking down. How you've been seeing the generations and ancestry within the family has been shifting. So there's this new moon Pisces has a lot of new, or what I want to say, open space, because energy that you had tied up in just kind of going with what's already presented, now it's kind of free for you to decide what you want to do with it. So now it's kind of like this empty space for you to kind of build. It's kind of like this anniversary. That's why it feels like you're coming back to your old self, or a new self, with an old opportunity. So it's like a prestige. You get to do it again in a way that you kind of get to use the new tools that you have available. So you're trying to decide what it is that you want to do. So it's one of the reasons why I'm bringing out the energy of the new moon in Pisces, because another thing I want to talk about with Pisces is that with Pisces, we can really think of the mental state of the ego and the subconscious state of the mind, and those things that we're trying to bring into reality. So when we're dealing with Pisces, sometimes there can be this abundance of one energy in one state, in this instance, the subconscious or unconscious state, and all of the stuff that can be realized or created into a tangible way. So a lot of this is about bringing awareness and spirit into what physical steps you need to be taking with the mental energy that you have. And sometimes when we have all of this Pisces energy, we may feel like we're kind of like lost at sea without a compass. And yeah, we kind of have all of this abundance, but we kind of have so much that we don't know really where to begin. So and I think it's really good to kind of use this portal to really, to release the saturation, because one of the things that Pisces can, it has a really strong capability to keep momentum going, but that can be both good and bad. So sometimes Pisces can get a little saturated in its waters, and it can really be kind of it's kind of like on a metaphysical end. Like if you're looking at water, it would need to be kind of like chlorine would need to be put in, because it's like algae buildup, and it's kind of just like stagnant, kind of green. It hasn't really been moving, or just the energy that's kind of been, and it hasn't been kind of like changed out. So we're really kind of in a sense of working with a saturated energy. So in the physical world, this may look like you can look like needing to take a refresh from work, because you've been kind of working with the same co-worker groups, in groups, because they're kind of working / friends, but they're not necessarily the best friends, but they're better workers. And you've been kind of allowing your energy state to kind of take on this energy that hasn't been the best for your discernment that you've been taking home. It hasn't been the best for your family, or more pure states that you go back home to. And a lot of different things from that nature, or just realizing that you need to kind of take a pause. You've been busy fixing so many things that you kind of been working on fumes. So now when it comes time for you to do something that you really want to do, you don't really have the means or the energy to really make that happen. So yes, especially with this new moon, I do want to call attention to with any new moon, it's always good to allow ourselves to surrender, because moons is really about any moon phase is really about reminding us to come out of our conscious mind and allow ourselves to kind of open up to what it is that we need to allow in. Sometimes when we're kind of spending a state kind of holding and kind of trying to take or receive, take to gain really the things it is that we want, we're moving from a mental space. But the issue with that is it's a very limited state. You get what you want, but you have to constantly do it. And it also, on a vibrational level or a chakra energy level, it kind of keeps you from accessing your higher chakras, because you tend to kind of, when you operate from an ego mind, you tend to operate in a way that kind of stops at the throat chakra. The energy just kind of stops here. And when we want to reach a kind of a ascension, or just a state where we feel more aligned or at tone with ourselves and moving in our rhythm, it usually requires that we activate like our third eye chakra and our crown. And those states require that we allow for the heart to have a balance with the mind. But when we're in our ego, we operate with more of an overpowered throat chakra. So we do that because out of fear, we want to control the situations, and the throat is very commanding, but the throat is also the seat of our individuality, of our expression. So sometimes when we have fears about controlling the outcome to a situation, we start to suppress the heart because we're afraid that the heart is not going to it's going to sit back and allow for somebody else to take in the situation. So that's when our throat chakra becomes more active, and then we'll notice we become more forceful with our words. We're more commanding with the things that we say, but we're forcing the situation instead of allowing the energy to actually do what's best in the situation. Because a lot of times, I think what's most important about this Pisces energy, because it's such an emotional time, Pisces brings out a lot of known and a lot of times unknown suppressed emotions that we weren't aware of. And because emotions fuel a lot of manifesting intent, this Pisces season has a lot of manifesting power, but the manifesting power is fueled by emotional release. Now, the emotional release doesn't necessarily mean crying and just letting out a lot of emotions, but it means that you're letting out a rawness or an authenticity or a passion in the situations or the things that it is that you're trying to draw to you. So this also means that you have to make room, but when we're holding on to a situation, we're also predicting the outcome. So we're not necessarily being the most authentic in the situation that we're trying to bring to us. So that's also the areas where we're trying to bring about that's also areas where we lose out on bringing out the most passion, because we're in a sense we're playing a role is the best way to put it, because it's like, well, I know I should want this, so let me do this. Well, no, in that sense we're playing a role, so we have to authentically want it. So a lot of what this new Pisces seasons, or just Pisces placements, do for us is they bring out our suppressed emotions or things that we didn't realize that we wanted. Because when we want to dream our most authentic self, we want to pull from a place that's from our deepest core. So Pisces touches on a lot of that the unconscious and the subconscious self. Okay. Kind of took me somewhere for a second, but okay. New Moon Virgo. Okay, we're going to touch on that. Still feeling the power of threes here. So one of the things I do want to say is with this New Moon Pisces, Pisces in spirit always calls awareness to making sure that we're bringing awareness to what it is that we want. It's not about the fact that it feels impossible or it feels just too good to be true or too grandiose or too romanticized. There's somewhere within that, there is a call within that dream state that your spirit or your soul truly wants this. Now, how you're going to bring it about, it's not necessarily about that, but it's first is about allowing for yourself to realize that you want something to that degree or that direction. Because this New Moon Pisces has a lot to do with spirituality and creating the movement in the mirror realm of where the physical hasn't been matched yet, there's essentially a confirmation that there's a vastness of energy working on your behalf to essentially manifest the thing that is not currently here before you, simply because you desire to have a passion for it. So this is actually a very strong time to focus on the things that you truly do want, that you're actually having the most difficulty, that you've been having the most difficulty bringing into the physical. Especially if you're writing and petitioning, I would definitely say that writing and petitioning for those things helps to bring those things into fruition. There are some call messages here that I think that are very important, and I think this is speaking on the cautionary side or the vices of Pisces as it relates to the grounding aspects, because I see retreat. Retreat is definitely speaking to doing a double check with the energy field that you're diving into. There may be some diving or wanting to meld into a situation because you're getting double benefits or platonic benefits in the situation. There's also a call to bring this awareness to this because you can do, anytime there's a call in spirit to check the platonic benefits or the exchange of the benefits that you're getting out of the energy, it usually means it's because you can do this on your own and you don't actually have to exchange this energy to receive that. You just might have to work a little bit harder, but the reward of what you're trying to shortchange will actually be more beneficial. Reevaluate your priorities. Somehow you're being cheated on the exchange. You are getting what it is that you asked for, but you're being cheated on the exchange because your value has gone up, your price has gone up. So you haven't really updated your prices, and you're still kind of operating with the old contract. And the people that you're connected to now and the situations that you're involved in are not giving you the best of your energy. Now, it is important for you to keep to your commitments, but whose commitments are you keeping to? There's some original commitments that you made that you've gotten complacent with. Some of that's come from getting sidetracked with side missions and quick fixes and things of that nature. But sometimes when we've been trying to make ends meet, especially over the last 6 months, we've been doing a lot of finding ourselves in a lot of places that we wouldn't necessarily or didn't necessarily think that we were going to be finding ourselves in. We may have only been making the grounds that we wanted to make within our mind. But during this time, if we've gotten kind of far off from where we originally started, it's not necessarily a call to feel kind of a dread. I did pull an additional moon message calling on the new moon in Virgo. And when I think of Virgo, this definitely does make me think of routine and thinking on that counter house energy, that rival house energy, about wanting to, when we feel like we wasted an energy, wasted a savings, wasted something that we've been building up that was supposed to get us out of a situation, to get us to that next plateau or that next mark, and then we don't have enough, or we just missed the goal, or we just don't have enough, we start to waste it on other things, because it's kind of like, well, I can't use it for that, so what's the point? So let me just give it into my vices. Let me just gamble this away or donk this off. And this is a confirmation that, okay, when we feel faced with these useless points, this Pisces season has a tendency to make us go into our vices, to go into our escapism, to go into the things that make us to retreat from reality, or retreat in reality. In this sense, it's really just anything that we feel blocked that we can't change in our waking world. And the things that we retreat from, it doesn't really matter what it is, because it's not vices. Sometimes we get confused about, it's not always just about addictions like drinking or smoking, or just anything like that, but it can literally be anything that takes you away from the responsibilities. It can be your work, it can be projects that you were trying to work on, that when you should be committing to family, or just improving on a situation, not facing things about yourself, or having to do work within your home, or many things within your family. And there's a lot of things where it's like, okay, how are you escaping from your responsibilities? Are you throwing yourself into your work? Are you throwing yourself into video games? Are you throwing yourself into your religion? Because it's easy to get addicted to higher realm things, because when we deal with Pisces, we're also dealing with the higher chakras. So we're also dealing with the faith and the religion. So it's very easy to just want to throw yourself into a fantasy world, or throw yourself into something that can relate to your situations. So this is also a really important time when we see the wisdoms coming from spirit. Reevaluate your priorities. And I do find the divine humor in seeing the new moon Virgo come up, because again, it makes me think of that 6th house placement, and reflecting on that rival 12th house placement, and just really asking yourself what things are making you break away from your routines, 6th house routines, and 12th house and that wild animal. Like, what's triggering you to break away from your routines? What's causing you to say, fuck all of the hard work and the foundations that have brought you to this point? Let me just let it all go. Is it really all just kind of a YOLO mentality, or is there still things that I can do? Is there still something that can be salvaged? Retreat in spirit is saying that retreat, you may need to step away from the limelight. You may need to stop putting that energy in. You may need to stop doing the thing that you're doing, and actually reevaluate. Keeping to your commitments. Hello, many blessings. Kind of on the flow there. Keeping to your commitments. So in this new moon Pisces, if you've been feeling in any way that kind of that wall where it's like, well, it just feels like this overwhelm. I have all these things that I want to do, or I have this thing that I really want to manifest. I don't know how I'm going to bring this forward into reality. This is the energy that shows us where we focus within the mirror of ourselves, because with physical reality, there's so much energy. I believe the placement for Neptune right now is actually in its ruling planet, because I was actually just talking about that in my last a couple posts ago. So there's a very, very heavy emotional energy during this time, and when we deal with new moons, there's usually going to be an emotional energy, especially when it's in a water sign. So it's in New Moon Pisces, so there's a very hypersensitive time. But the difference, like when versus like a Cancer moon versus this Pisces moon, is with Pisces, we may not know why we're feeling the way we're feeling. Like, we just know that we're feeling kind of this phantom feeling. Is a lot of times because Pisces plays on the spiritual areas of our cells, so that means it's going to be playing on the subconscious and unconscious. And this usually means that as it relates to the collective, the more in tune you are empathically with your intuitive self or your metaphysical self, the more likely you are to notice this. But when you're operating more in like the three-dimensional or the lower chakras, or the three-dimensional the three-dimensional perspectives, then you might not notice the shift. You may feel it, but you may not realize, like, oh, like, damn, I just went from feeling like really, really down and then really up today. Like, I didn't realize I went through a fucking awakening. So sometimes, like, we're going through these things, we're feeling these changes and these activations within our body, but nothing's actually like popping up on the screen saying you just went through a fucking awakening, or you just had a moment where you had ego death, so there's a lot of things transpiring, and there's new activations and new powers that are taking place within you and within the individuals within the collective. So it kind of does bring me back to the new moon in Virgo. So there's a lot of new energy sitting in a double confirmation of new. So there's also confirmation of doing a double check back with oneself and seeing what it is that you want to put in and where you want to redirect your energy during this time. I do kind of want to keep this message short, but I do also want to pull a message from the mirror, because I did pull the oracles as well. I do hope that everybody is enjoying their new moon portal as it relates to them, and I hope that the energy is not overwhelming you. When I think on Pisces, Pisces can sometimes seem a little deceptive, for lack of a better word. But I think that it just requires that we kind of take our time with the energy, because there's a lot of things that have been being revealed as it relates to the people closest to us, as it relates to the things that we value most. I think this kind of has a lot to do with some of the Capricorn placements in Mars and in Venus. So a lot of the shifts and changes that are taking place, or the veil that's being revealed from around the situations and the things that we put our energy into, has a lot to do with the things that we kind of hold close to us. Because even though Capricorn rules the 10th house, it actually takes its family very serious. Even though it covers the father figure, a lot of times you can't really tell them shit about their family. So they hold the people that they do call family very close. So there are things that are being revealed during this time that are shifting the perspectives of what we hold valuable, as far as how it relates to our deep roots, our close roots, especially when Pisces comes into the picture. It's things that we hadn't considered, and usually things that we hadn't considered are things where the love lens kind of glazes over, or some type of emotional lens is a factor in the situation, whether good or bad. That's kind of really the energy in the situation. So I'm feeling the power of 3, so I'm going to definitely keep this short, because I'm feeling a really good oracle. The message is very clear and concise from the oracle message. I'll be posting kind of the recaps on these a little bit later tonight or tomorrow, depending on how things move. So 5 of Pentacles, a lot of justice, taking time, a lot of turnover. So yeah, definitely 5 of Pentacles. So there's changes. There's definitely a confirmation in spirit. I'm feeling a mutable nature. So one of the most important things about this new moon is if you find yourself with situations that you're really stressing about, especially emotionally, you should not be concreting the situation. I feel a very mutable nature in this situation. You should be investing the energy in. You should be manipulating. You should be manipulating and pouring momentum into the situation, but you shouldn't be invested on the final outcome. This is actually very favorable for you because it's like cement that's almost dry. It's not dry yet, so you don't have to wait on the beginning process. But you also don't have to. You also have the benefit of it almost being dry, so you still can kind of put the last touches and influences in. It's actually very beneficial because you may not have had the means to actually generate into the situation or even supply the startup, but you were allowed in some kind of way to come into the situation and to invest or manipulate or to cause some type of flow into the situation to maneuver to the way you would like it to be. I think it definitely speaks to the fact that seeing justice come up here, seeing a turnover, that means that the energy can be changed or shifted in a different direction. If you have been looking for a way to, as a confirmation, to bridge a gap in something where you didn't have the resources or the energy or the matter to create that bridge, this is actually a confirmation that the energy is available. You simply still have to apply the work. And with temperance being here, this is also confirmation that that's the confirmation of the spirit and the reality and spiritual kind of blending over. And what you do with it has a lot to do with you at the source and deciding how you want to apply that energy. So this is also confirmation that over the next week and a half, couple of weeks, that how you apply yourself and how you focus, how you devote yourself and how you put your passions in will really determine what you receive over and within the next couple of days. You'll be seeing a few signs as to what types of things that will be flowing over the next few weeks, but you'll receive a sign in the next couple of days very soon. I would definitely say that to clear your mind, to actually make sure that you are focusing your intent on what it is that you want and not on all of the things as to why or how it could possibly happen. If you keep focusing on that, that will actually manifest for you because the energy is so sensitive. Emotional energy is very sensitive, especially with Pisces, and it can be very deceiving. And because it's so deceiving, it will fuel off of the energy that is made available. So this is a really important time to keep to your commitments and focus on the outcome and don't worry about the how. Allow yourself to see the signs and things come forward to you in a way that will confirm the reality that it is that you've been believing and petitioning the universe for and God for to manifest within your space. Continue to do the work. Five of Pentacles is confirmation that you can't just sit back. You can't just think on this shit and pray on this shit. You're going to look very silly if you haven't been putting your hands into the situation. So there's still things that you need to do. You're very close, which was a halfway point with the Five of Pentacles, but there's still some hustling that you have to do to make those ends meet. But if you put that energy in, you can actually make a lot off of the situation. So continue to apply and just treat the situation for what it is. Seeing justice here means that there's no harm, no foul, and there's no bias in the situation. But if you simply show up, you'll be rewarded for simply being in a position at that time. So that's actually very favorable because, especially for those in the collective who've been being met with resistance or biases because it's you. This is a good confirmation to pursue the things that you've been wondering if you should do, because you won't necessarily receive any honors, but you also won't receive any biases if you step in, and you will simply be rewarded simply for showing up and stepping into place. That's a very good calling because it means that in all the areas where you need the mental energy to apply is there, and vice versa. Whatever mirror it is that you need, when we see temperance, it means that the physical and the mental balance is actually being bridged over, so you have exactly what you need to make way for the reality that you're trying to manifest. Just simply give it time and don't rush the process. I hope that this message is resonating with you. It definitely feels very supercharged. Definitely take your time with this. Take a breath. Say your petitions for the new moon in Pisces. I hope this Pisces season is good for you and that you are able to resonate with the things that came forth from this message in spirit. And I hope that you're definitely surrendering to the situations in your space where you may feel that you are not seeing the outcome that it is that you would want and desire that's healthy for you. Allow yourself to surrender to things and give up those useless energies, and really just step into knowing that you can have what it is that you want. Allow yourself to just receive what it is that you deserve. There's an abundance of energy that's available when Neptune Pisces is in our placements, and a lot of emotional releases. So this is the energy that allows for a lot of karmic breaking, a lot of generational breaking, and paving for new things to come. So this was the message for the new moon Pisces. Definitely feeling very phenomenal energy here. Yeah, so let's definitely make sure to drop a comment if this is resonating with you, like and share, let anyone know that needs to receive this message, that is resonating with this, that needs to hear this. Much love, many blessings, and ashe.